I'm giving you a good rate because that person was a good friend. And it's kind of just like, no, man, like you're just taking advantage of the situation, whether you know it or not. To this day, again, I won't work with that person. And it's just, it's a respect thing. And it's kind of just like, it goes exactly what you were saying. If I'm putting in 110% of the effort into your production, mixing, whatever, it's got to be reciprocal. Otherwise, like, why are you doing art? Like, if you can't put 110% into your art, while you're actually making it before you're going to like the promotion side of it, what's the point?
Yeah, I feel like it like you said, like it has to be mutual. It's like, what are my expectations and what's the artist's expectations, and they really need to be on the same page. And
exactly.
It's hard for me often because I do work with a lot of artists that are not necessarily on the same page or don't necessarily have the same goals as I do in terms of like quality. They just like they maybe want to just get the song done, and if it's at like 80% of whatever I would want, they would probably be happy. But I'm still trying to push, my career, and also I'm a perfectionist, and I want to make it as good as I possibly can make it. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes that balance is hard.
It is, but I think to your point, if something can be better and something can be tried, whether or not the band likes the idea in the end, it should definitely be tried because again, your interest is. And this is kind of selfishly speaking, I'm speaking more for you than the band. What you're stamping your name on is your quality of product. And if you feel like it's below your standard of product,
exactly,
it's like, oh, well, now I have to maybe have the conversation of like, please don't put my name on this, which I'll tell you, I've had conversations of that where it's like, hey, like, it's one of those clients that we just didn't get along or like they just like didn't listen. To just specific advice, not that they, I was being bossy about it, but it's like, hey, like we got to the mix stage and you're not happy with this. And it's because of X, Y, and Z that I told you 6 months ago. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, this is turning out this way. And oh, by the way, like, even though I did all this work for you, please don't put my name on it because this does not reflect actually what my standard is. And, that's a very harsh way of saying it. I have to always tippy-toe around it, when it comes up, which thankfully it doesn't come up anymore. But, when it did, it was kind of, it was kind of this thing of just being like, at the end of the day, both of our names are on there. Like if I had no credit at all, it wouldn't matter. And at the same point, like what would my job even matter at that point? Like anyone can push a button.
Right. That's what you're saying. Like, it's like people are hiring you because of the way you hear music, right? Like
exactly.
They got to you through probably word of mouth. They know what your stuff sounds like. And there's a reason why, like your work should speak for itself. And that should be the reason why someone's hiring you.
Exactly. Yeah. And, or at least theoretically, that's, again, it's why you go to the restaurants you like. It's why you hire the workers for your home or whatever. Why you buy your car from the place that you do. It's because you've built up this relationship and this understanding. And it's kind of like, you're not going to just hire some random person. Well, you might, but then you're, you're stuck with what you get. And it's not really their fault if you hired them and you didn't really know. It's so messed up that I feel like engineers a lot of the times and producers a lot of the times get taken advantage of without knowing. Because the artist or person who hires us thinks that like, yeah, well, they are the boss and like, it's their art and their music and it's what matters. But, as we discussed, there's plenty of people who can do this and there's plenty of people who do it at a high level. So, it's like for me, like I don't really work on hip hop and rap. And it's because I don't live that kind of, I don't eat, sleep and breathe that music. I listened to it more when I was a kid than I do listen to it now. And it's kind of like, I can think of 5 people off the top of my head that I'd rather refer you to because they're going to take the approach that I would take with music that I like and I do well at, but they're going to do it with the music that they like, which is what you're trying to do, Exactly. So it's that kind of thing. Like I'd rather give someone else a work if they're going to do a better job at it than me kind of just half-assing it for the paycheck.
Yeah, referrals are the best. It's so great to have people that you can refer other people to.
Yeah.
And then it always comes back and everyone, it's like a I scratch your back, you scratch my back situation. And then the right projects will, like I've mentioned this before. There's a guy in Jerusalem named John who I've had on my show, John Friedlander, and I love sending him work when I think it's better for him, and he sends me work when he thinks it's better for me, and it's great. Like it's, like one of his nightmare clients was a great client for me. You know what I mean?
But it's exactly. It might not work for one person, but it works perfectly for another.
Exactly. So it's like, you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also think like long term, it's for sure the move to kind of free up that space. You know what I mean? To be like to work on the projects you want to work on. I think it's just about getting over the short term slump, because if you're working on music that you're passionate about, it'll inevitably be better, right? It'll be
yes.
And then as your portfolio gets better, you'll attract more of the artists you want to work with, and You'll be able to kind of, and then hopefully be able to eventually raise your rates or get more of that kind of work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the other thing that I'd add to that too, that a lot of people like really don't sometimes think about, is just the quality of your life outside of work. Because of freeing up all this time, like it's been great. Like I've learned how to fix things in my home. I cook almost every night, which I enjoy doing. I can go out and be active if I want to. Like I can literally, I can go to an art museum and just sit and get inspired by art on a day. Like it doesn't and it's stuff that like doesn't have to actually cost money or cost a lot of money and have it be a burden, that you can like keep expanding what you're trying to do, or just your mindset and your frame of mind. And like, if you do this and then just sit on your couch waiting for a call, this type of move isn't for you unless you love sitting on your couch. It's kind of just like you're going to get really frustrated, where it's like, if I don't have someone booked all next week, I'm going to go do something. Like I'm going to go, if it's nice, I'm going to go to a park and sit in the park and read. I'm going to go, smoke a joint and go to the fucking art museum and just like sit back and look at paintings. There's just so many things that you can do that like, most of us engineers don't get to do because we're stuck in a studio or, whatever, in this kind of closed tunnel thing and this mindset. And it's like, man, we got to get out of that way, because it's like, think about it as you were a kid. Like even the stuff that you really enjoyed, you took a break from. Like there was things that broke up your day, that other things that usually people enjoyed, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think the whole like social media thing kind of expedites it, because like when you're bored, you're like, oh, let me open up and see what other people are doing on music, and
fuck
just get into that
media.
That rabbit hole. I know it's the worst, isn't it? Just wasting our lives away on these stupid platforms.
So there's something really great about it, but the bad part is kind of like what you're hitting on, is this fact that like so many people just either live their life in a way that like they're just trying to do it to get likes, or, it's stuff like, when a tragedy happens, like a tsunami or something like that, and you get all these stupid fucking hashtags that are pray for Japan or pray for Paris and all this stuff. And like, that's all well and good, but like, if you actually cared about the cause, you can donate your time, you can donate your money, you can find other ways to, start a fundraiser, like start things that will actually help the situation, rather than just being like, oh, I'm cool, I'm going to change my profile picture to have this cool filter because everyone else is doing it and I, support this cause too. Like, no, you don't. Like, the things that you actually support, you support. And shit like that, you're not actually supporting. It's like saying you're going to go to a friend's show and then never show up. You're not supporting that person. Like if you're going to show up, you're going to show up. And, it's like, I have the same gripe with people on, for holidays like Mother's Day and Father's Day. It just irks me so much. It's like if your fucking parents care about you posting about them, which they probably don't. No, like everyone has mothers. Like you cannot really at this time, or like very few instances, everyone has a mother. So it's kind of like, I don't need to see your mother. Like it's nice that you guys have a relationship, but like just talk to your mom rather than posting a picture that no one else really cares about. And I don't mean like no one else really cares, like they don't care that you're not doing well with your mom, but it's more of like, we don't need to see that. Like, it's the same thing as like, music being overpopulated with shit. Like, yeah, now that anyone can have a DAW and do what we're doing, there's going to be a lot of horse shit out there. And it's the same thing. it's just kind of like, man, just like live your life. Like call your parents. Like, if those people really need that kind of attention and love to feel important, then like, man, I feel sorry for you and your parents or whoever that person is. But like, this only was invented like, 20 years ago.
It's so new. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I still have friends that we call each other. We send each other cards. We send, we do the old thing because there's just something so much more personal. And I'm not saying that like I'm a better person than someone else, but it's just like, if you care about someone, care about them. But like the digital caring, that's not really like, it's kind of just half-assed.
It's just shallow. It's not
exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's such weird times we're living through. Yeah, it's like on the one hand, if I didn't have like need social media for my business, I think I would be off of it. But it does help sometimes.
No, it totally does. And I have this problem too, where like, I don't know if I'm just a little bit more conscious of other people's feelings, but it's also kind of like, even like getting new studio gear or stuff like that, and you just post it. It's kind of just like, well, shit, I know so many people who don't have enough work to be able to afford this shit, and like who might have it a lot harder. And it's like, why would I just post about this piece of gear if it potentially would make someone jealous or feel bad? And like, yeah, I still do, but I try and really keep it to a thing of like being like positive about it and not being like, look what I have and what you don't have kind of a thing. Because like, it's such a thirst trap. Like, it's like from, gear to cars to, where you go on vacation and the experiences you have, like, come on. Like at a certain point, like it's either just you showing off to make yourself feel better and others feel worse, or you have to figure out a way to like let other people be excited for your stuff, but do it in a way that you're not like, look what I got kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
And it's hard. Like,
yeah. I guess everybody uses social media differently. And I don't ever feel the need to do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No,
maybe I'm an oddball, but
no, I think it's, it takes so much for me to fight the urge. And like, even like when I set up a guitar and I'm really proud of it, I'm like, oh shit, do I post this? Because someone out there might have a really hard time doing this. And like, I don't want to make it seem easier than it really was, or, stuff like that. It's just like,
I have to actively remind myself like, oh, I should probably do something on TikTok today just to put, I don't have no urge to post. I mean, I post my podcast and stuff like pretty regularly, but like with my own stuff, I forget, like, I just like, I know I should just like post like a video of what I'm working on, and I just don't remember to because I'm not thinking to do that, Right,
exactly. I run into that issue all the time, and I feel, and the funny part is like I feel bad for the clients that I forget to post about. Like there'll be times in sessions where I'll think something's cool and I'll capture it because there's a lot of downtime. But like with clients that I don't have downtime in the studio, I'm not thinking like you. I'm not thinking about taking a video or a picture. Like I'm thinking about trying to get to the finish line and make the client happy and make us both vibe on what we're doing. And it's like, that means that some of my clients are going to get photos and some aren't. And it's kind of like, oh shit, like, man, like it's not because I'm not taking pictures of your session because we're not doing cool stuff. It's because like we're in it until the end. And like, there might not be a minute for me to sit back and take a cool video or whatever. So it's kind of just like,
I would say that's most of my sessions.
Yeah.
Or gigs or rehearsals, like I don't know how people have time to just like pull out the phone or whatever. I'm just like, I'm like a terrible multitasker.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, if I'm focused on something, I'm just focused on one thing and I'm just like deep in it, and that's it. Like
totally.
I've got tunnel vision. I don't know if you're the same way.
Yes and no. I'm not bad at multitasking, but I also don't want to miss something because I was trying to take a cool photo or video. So like, especially something technical where it's like, oh shit, man, like you've just fucked up and there's no way to fix that because you were taking a fucking video for Instagram. Like, if I know things aren't going to get messed up and I have that ability, sure, I'll take a